That old bitch
Pycelle.
Looming over him with a cup, whispering, "Drink, my lord, milk of the poppy for the pain."
What up? Welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, starting with the Game of Thrones. I'm Nate, and joining me as always is my brother, Zach.
What up?
There he is.
Hey everybody, if you joined us last episode, we were reading Catelyn 6. Catelyn was...
We actually, talking about it after that, decided that that's so far, as good as it was, has been our least favorite chapter of the book.
Yeah, it was a great chapter. It was a great setting chapter where it was setting the stage of the Eyrie and the Vale and the whole kingdom here of the Warden of the East and essentially what that represents. But, goddamn, like, not that it's a bad chapter in any way, shape, or form. But
it's just dry for analytical reasons for the foreshadowing.
There really isn't a whole lot going on, and besides Cat just constantly being upset about things, which she usually is doing anyway. I happen to enjoy Cat as a character for as long as we get her. So, but yeah, no, afterward we kind of realized that this was a very sort of cut and dry, what you see is what you get chapter, and so for that reason I think was mainly what I didn't really enjoy. But yeah, Cat made her way through the different way towers of snow, snow, and sky, and eventually, and I realized it in re-listening that you called them wenches that pull up the basket, which is a great visual in my head.
Yeah, not winches like
the winches that actually pull up the basket. And Cat, decided to ride in the basket.
Whoops.
Lysa wasn't as warm and welcoming as she hoped, and they ended up arguing quite a lot before Lysa got gross with little Robert Arryn.
Yeah.
And decided that maybe she was going to throw Tyrion through the moon door. So, last we had left Ned, because we will be reading Ned today.
Yeah, and so we got some writers.
Yeah, we did get some correspondence.
We will be mentioning them as they mentioned points that we will be bringing up anyway. They have some inductees, so that would be the not-so-silent sisters, Afton and Brandy.
Kapow, finger guns.
Yeah, so I think with that, we should dive right into this business here.
Yes, I agree. This was a good chapter. So yeah, last we left Ned, he was argued with Robert about the assassination of Daenerys Targaryen because she was pregnant.
And turned in his hand of the
Resigned
king badge,
being hand of the king.
Stormed off and began making plans to head back home when he got a surprise visit from Littlefinger himself, making claims that he can help him find the whore in the brothel that he's been looking for, but Jory Castells had no luck so far finding. And
so we join Ned here in his 9th chapter in A Game of Thrones, and they are dwindling. His days are numbered. And we kind of get a little bit of a time jump, but it says that Ned finds Peter in the brothel's common room talking to a tall, elegant woman in a feathered gown with skin as black as ink. So Ned's done doing, we learn throughout Ned's thoughts later that Ned's done talking to this girl, this whore that Robert has slept with and got a bastard on, and he's got all the information, so he's coming back, and Littlefinger is playing the host, the suave fucking host, and I love the image of Ned coming down, and mainly because we haven't gotten a description of a woman like this, not just that she's African-American, but she's exotic. She stands out.
Chitaya.
Chitaya.
And she's a dope
ass bitch. Littlefinger and her, like... It's this image. This is so fantasy in my head of this. She's so exotic, but Littlefinger's making her blush and laugh. But to me, she just seems really strong and powerful.
Yeah, she's the kind of person that I would like to drink with and hear some stories that she's told.
Yeah, she's a worldly woman. And so Ned sees his man Howard is playing a strip poker of sorts with a buxom wench. Jory Castells, smiling, is watching from beside a window when it's raining out, which is, I just had the thought that that's probably the storm that Kat and Roderick had gotten caught in.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that puts us in a good, I didn't even think of that. That gives us a good time frame for when this is all happening.
Traveling south.
Well, no, because the storm traveling south. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it had already rained
been
in Ned's chapter as well because it had washed him clean.
So maybe it's the same storm, just chilling.
Yeah, but well, actually, no, it wasn't that in the last Ned chapter where he said he hoped it would rain. It felt like rain because it wanted him to wash it clean. So the storm has finally arrived. That is so irrelevant, and I don't know why
we just
went off on that.
So in today's forecast,
watch out in King's Landing.
So Ned tells Jory and the men that he's done there. His business is concluded.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's head out. So Jory says he'll go wind up the horses, bring them around the front, and
Who jumps up to obey, running to the door. Littlefinger kisses the woman's hand, whispered some joke that makes her laugh, and saunters over to Ned. I love how every single time Littlefinger and Ned have an interaction, Littlefinger saunters toward Ned.
Yes.
It's every single time. This dude is so carefree, but we also get the view with Chitaya here of how likable he is.
Debonair.
Yeah.
He's got this,
Littlefinger is suave as fuck in this chapter, and I love it. And he asks, your business is concluded or Robert's business? And he says that they say the hand dreams the king's dreams, speaks with the king's voice, and rules with the king's sword. Does that mean that you also fuck with the king's...
And Ned jumps in and says he's no longer the king's hand.
Yeah, you presume too much I'm grateful for the help you've given me, but don't think I intend to endure your bullshit.
Yes, I really like that he was just like, I'm letting you help me. I appreciate that. Fuck off.
Yeah, Littlefinger notes that the direwolf must be a prickly beast if it's the sigil of your house, you fucking fuck. I love Littlefinger. He's just the fucking best, especially when he's fucking with Ned, because he's just... So, I mean, he's got the vendetta against Ned's family, obviously, but he's just so on another level than Ned, and Ned doesn't even know it, and it's
he
so
doesn't even
funny.
realize it's happening.
Littlefinger's like a cat just batting the toy around, but...
They go outside.
Yeah, it's a warm rain, which... I don't know why, but that paints an image in my head. Like it's a little more foreboding to me that it feels heavier, more oppressive. Like it's almost like the rain isn't as
just think
cleansing.
Of how humid it would be and sticky and just claustrophobic almost. So he pulls his hood up.
Sip of my water.
Yeah, I think everybody heard you.
Good.
So Ned pulls his hood up
because
hydrated. Make sure you drink enough water. Ned pulls his hood up because he's getting too much water. And
Jory asks if they're returning to the castle. Ned now nods and mounts as Littlefinger mounts up as well, and Jory and the others all mount up. And so Littlefinger just sort of starts prattling on about how Chitaya runs such a great establishment there, and that's when we learn that she does what Littlefinger does. She's the proprietor of this brothel here, where Robert laid one of his bastards.
Yeah, and he's talking about buying it.
Yeah, he wants to buy it. It'll be lucrative.
He's making all these little jokes.
So Ned just lets
pirates.
him prattle on, not giving a shit, and
starts thinking about a conversation.
Well, yeah, Littlefinger eventually falls quiet, and they ride in silence, and it just says that the streets are deserted. The rain's driven everyone inside, and it beat down on Ned's head, warm as blood and relentless as old guilt. And he starts thinking about a certain memory in particular.
He's a little guilty about.
In particular, it's his sister Lyanna scolding him about Robert's ways,
and
his whoring.
I wrote down 3 quotes that Lyanna says here. And the first part was, Robert will never keep to one bed.
Yes.
And, Robert, or Ned kind of thinking about that, and I'm sure it's fucking him up nowadays. But she then says that she hears he's gotten a child with a woman in the Vale.
Maya Stone.
And Ned can't lie to his sister, nor would he. And since he had just held that baby recently, she knew the truth. And finally, he says, well, a man will change, and he'll love you.
With all his heart.
Everything.
Yeah.
And she says the third quote, love is sweet, dearest Ned, but it will not change a man's nature.
Wrecked.
And his nature never changed. And so, that's... there's the argument that if he got with Lyanna, would he change? And I think we had discussed it, and we'll bring it up again. No. He never. It would have been the same, and it
would have been the throne for him. He would have gotten the unobtainable. He would have gotten what he wanted, and he would have gotten tired of it eventually.
And so he's just going to, no matter what, he has that excuse now because Lyanna died. He can't ever have.
I think this also shines a lot of light on Ned, and Ned always thinking about how Robert dotes on these people for a time. For a time, there's a wench that he's absolutely enthralled with. I think he is applying that in his head. We just don't get the full gist of it, that he's applying that to Lyanna. Like, he would have done this to Lyanna. He would have lost interest even if he got her. So, and it also, there was another fucking point I wanted to make, but I just lost it. Shit. Nothing. So,
I wanted to point out the Not So Silent Sisters did also mention this part and the conversation and just how interesting it was that it was brought up. And I believe we've all discussed it in the past, you know, the whole Robert's a scumbag, man. He's not going to stop being a scumbag, whether he was with Cersei, whether he was with Lyanna.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't matter.
He was going to keep doing his whoring thing, and so Ned's aware of it. Lyanna was deathly aware of it, and no one can deny it. And Ned starts thinking now that the girl that he had come to see had been so young, he dared not ask her age, because he really probably didn't want to know how young this other whore was that Robert had fucked. And he said that she had light red hair and a powdering of freckles across her nose. And this is when he's thinking of the conversation they had, and she says that she had named the girl Bara, and that she looks, or Bara, and she had looked so much like him.
Yeah, and his nose and his hair.
Ned's touching the kid's hair, because for some reason with Baratheons, you have to touch their hair to confirm it, like you did with Gendry.
He still doesn't have any confirmation.
Yeah, there's still no... He's like, yeah, this is Robert's bastard, definitely, but there's still no, Joffrey.
Yeah, it doesn't click.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she just basically is asking, tell him that he looks like him, tell him that she's beautiful, tell him I don't want anything from him, he was just always kind to me. And Ned says that he will tell her that, tell Robert that, but, you know, for all the fucking good it's going to do. But Ned does promise her that Bara will want for nothing.
Yes. And so he says that's his curse. Robert would swear undying love and forget by Evenfall. But Ned Stark kept his vows. He thought of the promises he made he made Lyanna as she lay. Hey, you know, fuck.
Continue.
He thought of the promises he made Lyanna as she lay dying, and the price he'd paid to keep them.
Ugh. Oy.
It's the way that fucking Martin just has this plan in place since fucking clearly day one.
Well, that's what's so good, like, because, and I know especially we are pretty guilty of it, we shit on Ned a lot, but, like, I really do love the character of Ned and love reading his chapters because of stuff like this. Like, if in the end the books take the route that the show did, which I do believe it will as far as Jon Snow's heritage, it's gonna be so well earned and well done and well deserved. Where it is, maybe it didn't have the effect people wanted in the show. It will in the books.
I feel as though a lot of people will be upset that it is just Rhaegar and Lyanna, but like you said, Martin planted these seeds. It is deserved.
I think it'll, even in the, like, because in the books it's just there's so much more given to Rhaegar and Lyanna, and so it'll impact more people. There are more people who Rhaegar directly influenced and Lyanna directly influenced that are going to be like, oh shit, this is Aegon, their son. So that's sweet. And then toss in Phaegon. So the fact that he's putting it in these, and this is, to me, sort of the whole point of Ned's character is Ned is honorable as fuck, and he gives us that bar to sort of measure, and that his children measure the other people by for the rest of the series. But he also gives us a little hint that he's keeping some sort of secret or lie,
quite as honorable.
And
as
it's for some good reason, we would assume, because he's Ned, and it's a promise he made to his sister. But what could it be that really is causing feelings of guilt and sort of, but not enough guilt to make him change his mind? He's still resolved in his fact that he's never going to eke this secret out. So, Martin, fucking A.
Yeah, it's spectacular. So, the girl, the little whore, I don't know if we ever actually get her name.
No, I think it's just the baby's name, Barras.
Yeah. And so she tells Ned to let Robert know she's waiting for him.
Yeah.
She's got time off. She doesn't want any jewels, just him.
Yep.
He was always good to her.
Yeah. And so Ned says that he'll tell her and that the baby will not want for anything. And it said that she had smiled then, a smile so sweet it cut the heart out of him. Because Robert's not going to do anything. So Ned knows immediately that that's going to fall to him. But even just in his lordliness, like, she's not going to get any better attention than, like, some extra food for the baby and stuff. So it says, we come back to the present, and it says that riding through the rain, Ned sees Jon Snow's face in front of him, so like a young version of his own. If the gods so frowned on bastards, why did they fill men with such lusts? And that's just an interesting sort of rationale.
I like, and I do like that he says that Jon Snow does look so like him. But that's, just because of the Stark heritage. And
I also think that this is sort of a bit of a Martin kind of putting a mirror to more smoke and mirrors about the heritage of this. Isn't Ned applying it to it is applying to Jon, but it's more applying to how hard his life has been as a bastard when he really technically probably isn't, and the fact that these bastards he's hunting down. But I don't think it's the fact oh man, Jon Snow was born a bastard, that sucks. I think it was damn, it sucks that he was given this title and people hate it for some reason, but yet all men want to just get laid all the time and make bastards. So he asks Littlefinger what he knows of Robert's bastards, and Littlefinger immediately, he has more than you for a start. And Ned asks how many, and Littlefinger shrugs and asks, does it really matter? And then he goes through the list. He's acknowledged the boy at Storm's End, the one he fathered the night Stannis was wed. And I wrote this down because this becomes important in Stannis and Robert's relationship.
Because we've mentioned this before in past episodes.
This is Edric Storm, and he fathered Edric Storm the night Stannis was wed. The mother was a Florent girl, a niece to Lady Selyse. Renly claims that Robert carried the girl upstairs to break in the wedding bed while Stannis and his new bride still danced. Stannis seemed to think this was a slight on the honor of his wife's house, so as soon as the boy was born, Stannis sent him off to Renly at Storm's End. And so that's just an interesting, and it will color a lot of how Stannis views his brother, because he feels like he's been slighted by Robert quite a lot. And so I just really like anything Stannis.
I like that he also mentions, a couple of the bastards there. Did he mention the Maya Stone? I think he briefly just...
Yeah, the girl in the
veil. And then he brings up a pair of twins that were born in Lannisport near Casterly Rock, I think is what it said, that Cersei had killed.
Yeah, 3 years ago when he went for tournament, Lord Tywin's tourney, Robert got a serving wench, got twins on her, and Cersei had the babes killed and sold the mother to a slaver. Too much an affront to Lannister pride, that close to home. Holy shit, Cersei.
Yeah.
I like that we get that right off the bat, that these she will fucking slaughter these bastards, and I know it ends up being Joffrey later on that does it, but goddamn. So Ned grimaced because tales like that are told of every great lord, that they get their bastards killed because they're bastards. He could believe it of Cersei easy enough, but would Robert really stand by and let it happen? And again, he just kind of does this rubber banding of, well, the Robert I knew wouldn't, but the Robert I do know now would. And so Ned asks why. Why would Jon Arryn take sudden interest in Robert's bastards? And Littlefinger shrugs again. He said he was the Hand's king. Robert no doubt asked him to see that they were provided for. And so at this point, it says Ned is soaked to the bone and his soul had grown cold. Oh, Ned.
And now I really like that he brings this next part up and who he starts remembering, just because, again, I think it's trying to contrast Robert to Rhaegar.
Well, he asks Littlefinger, it has to be more than that, or why kill Jon Arryn? So Littlefinger laughs and says, now I see. And he just says, Lord Arryn learned the king filled the bellies of some whores, and for that he had to be silenced. Allow a man like that to live, and next he'll blurt out that the sun rises in the east. So Littlefinger's just shitting on Ned again.
It's making jokes.
Everyone knows Robert has bastards. That knowledge isn't what killed him. It's something. Littlefinger's dangling the carrot right in front of him, and Ned's not getting it. And so this is when Ned has no answer to that, but wonders if Sir Rhaegar Targaryen...
Yeah. He says that he finds himself remembering Rhaegar for the first time in years. Now, not thinking about Rhaegar, but remembering him.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's him, thinking and recalling how the guy was as a person.
Yeah.
And he says, I wonder if Rhaegar frequented brothels. But he doesn't think so.
No, he thinks not. And so this is the guy that we are told raped and murdered his sister.
Yes.
And was savage and followed his Mad King's father's
And yet here
orders,
he is saying that he doesn't think that he would go to a brothel.
Which, in this context, we can take as he's better than Robert in that regard. Whereas Robert clearly does frequently. Rhaegar would be loyal to Lyanna, possibly, as a potential match.
Which is, strange to think about considering he was
that's
married.
what's like so fucking brilliant about this puzzle is Martin scatters the pieces like this, where it's these little things that we're meant to infer of, Rhaegar, and because my first read through, Rhaegar raped and murdered Lyanna.
Yeah,
like
that's how
raped her multiple fucking 100 times. Like, it was savage, it was disturbing, and I hated the dude. And then slowly it was like, but wait. We learn later, like, Dany and Sir Barristan talk, and he tells him that he likes the harp, and he likes to sing. Like, that's not what the fuck is going on. So then my second read-through, I started paying more attention to mentions of Rhaegar, and it's just, holy fucking shit. Yeah. Again, Martin, with these little pieces. So, yeah, anytime Ned thinks about Rhaegar, it immediately gets me excited. But the rain is falling harder when Jory calls out, "My lord," with alarm in his voice, and in an instant the street is full of soldiers. Ned had no time to count, but he sees at least 10 men with golden lions on their helm crests, and they're on foot, blocking the street with their long swords and their spears.
When Will shouts, "Behind!" and they turn and see that their way back is now also cut off.
Jory wastes no time, draws his sword. "Make way or die," he yells.
Dang, Jory, call into arms quick.
The leader calls out, "The wolves are howling." Such a small pack, though. And this is when Littlefinger walks his horse
I like
forward.
that he's at least, because it says carefully, step by step.
Yeah.
And then he shouts out, "This is the hand of the king. What is the meaning of this?" And the response...
He was the hand of the king as the line parts, and striding forward on his horse is Sir Jaime Lannister.
Now, if truth be told, I'm not sure what he is.
And so as soon as he's recognized, Littlefinger asks him, "Lannister, what is this madness? Let us pass. What are you doing? Do you know what you're...
What do you think you are doing
What do
here?
you think you are doing here?"
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I gave you shit for it.
And
that's
I know.
fucking goddamn it.
So Ned says that Jaime knows exactly what
he knows what he's doing. So Jaime smiles and says, "I'm looking for my brother. You remember him, Lord Stark, don't you?"
I love it.
You met him at Winterfell, fair-haired, mismatched eyes, sharp of tongue.
A short man.
Short man. And Ned says, "I remember him well." And Jaime replies that it seems he has met with some trouble on the road. "My lord father is quite vexed. You wouldn't happen to have any notion of who would wish my brother ill, do you?"
Being Honorable Ned and the Lord of Winterfell and all that, he says, Tyrion was taken by my wife at my command.
To answer for his crimes.
Littlefinger
just groans.
My lords. And yeah, I thought that was hilarious that he's like, "No."
And it says, Jaime rips his longsword from its sheath and urges his horse forward and says, "Show me your steel, Lord Eddard. I'll butcher you like Ares if I must, but I'd sooner you died with a blade in your hand."
Now, what I like about this, and I think it's similar to Ned and Rhaegar and their stories, this chapter is... George knew what arc he was taking with Jaime. Even now. This redemptive arc.
See, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I keep wanting to say that this is, besides him pushing Bran out the window, which we get, this is like his first villainous act to us.
Yeah.
Like, where we're like, because at first it's shocking, but like by this point in the book, you've kind of chilled on the fact that he pushed a kid out the window. You're just like, all right, whatever. He's weird, and that's all right. But with this, he comes out like on his horse as
this ambushed,
douchebaggy, talking shit. He's funny, he's quippy, but he's got that arrogance.
So what I like to think is, like I said, I believe Martin knew what he was doing with Jaime. And I'll show another reason why here in a little bit. But he says, "I'll butcher you like I did Ares."
Yeah,
and so that means he has taken on that persona that's been pushed on him.
This is the Kingslayer.
You are the Kingslayer, and so he's embraced it and fully. Where I'll fucking cut you down right now, no problems.
Yeah, tells I think George knew it, that Jaime from here is gonna flee the city, go to Lord Tywin. Tywin's gonna send him to the Riverlands to assault Riverrun to siege Catelyn's home. And then from there get captured and all that fun stuff. So that's the start of his redemption arc, is when he gets captured. Here, it was a fucking great moment to paint him as a villain, and he is, and it's horrible. Like, this scene had me like fucking worked up when I was like, oh shit, like here it is, this confrontation, and it was intense. And so he turns to Littlefinger and says, "I'd leave here in haste if I did not wish to get bloodstains on my costly clothing." And
so Ned immediately takes him up on that. Did I say Ned?
Ned.
I meant Peter immediately takes him up on that.
Yeah, he didn't need no urging.
Turning to Ned, he says, "I'll bring the city guard." He's pretty good at bringing the city guard,
bringing the city guard.
And so he fucking takes off.
The Lannister line parts.
And then closes
immediately, and he's gone. And so Ned's men had drawn their swords, but it was 3 against 20. Yeah. And it said that eyes had watched them from every single building, doorway, window, but no one was intervening.
And Jaime gets right up on Ned.
Ned thinks that his 3 were mounted while the Lannisters were all on foot, save Jaime, and a charge might break them free, but he thinks he's got a better tactic. So he tells him, "Kill me, and Catelyn will most certainly slay Tyrion." And then when Jaime pokes Ned in the chest with his sword, and Ned thinks it's the same sword that drank the last of the blood of the last Dragon Kings, which is just fucking.
And Jaime says, "The noble Catelyn Tully of Riverrun murder hostage? I think not." And then he sighs and says, "But I guess I don't want to stake my brother's life on the honor of a woman."
Yeah, well, I mean,
now I know that's
it's the beginning paintings of his wench,
and I just I just like how it's giving us that imagery of he doesn't see women as honorable, having a true intentions, and so to have it be Brienne that teaches him this,
but he hits it on the nose, because we know in the Catelyn chapters that she is debating Tyrion's innocence, and she struggles with leaving the dead. She is insanely honorable, just like Ned, and so he does nail that on the head. And he says, "I suppose I'll let you run to Robert and tell him how I frightened you. I wonder if he'll even care."
Yeah.
And he starts to wheel around and does so, but as he does, he looks to his captain and he says, "Traegar, see that no harm comes to Lord Stark. But we wouldn't want him to leave here unchastened, so..."
And he gives the
villain
the dark, rainy, it's muddy, it's gross, and you can see the flashing smile.
There is even a little ding.
Yeah, that's
sure.
And then he just says,
"Kill his men."
And then he rides off,
and Ned fucking screams no, pulling out his sword. Jaime's already gone, and Will is shouting behind him. Men close from both sides. Jory charges, and for an instant manages to break free.
Yeah, and then one of the horses kicks a Lannister, and so he gets back a little bit.
Will is pulled off his horse.
Yeah, he's cursing as he's pulled off his dying horse.
So Ned goes to him, bringing his long sword down on Traegar's helm, splitting it instantly. Fucking Traegar out.
Get him, Ned.
Bitch. Get out of here. Heward takes a spear to the belly as Jory is suddenly back beside them.
Ned
loses
my fucking heart.
Ned loses
like, "No,
get out of here, Jory. Go. Save
away.
yourself.
He says, "No, Jory, away."
Yeah.
And then his horse slips in the mud.
Yeah.
And falls and crashes down.
And there's blinding pain and the taste of blood in his mouth. I mean, fucking horse, come on.
And so all he sees is Jory being pulled to the ground.
Yeah, they cut down his mount, and they close in around him.
Just the rising and falling of swords.
Ned tries to stand to get to him.
After the horse lumps up
it gets
itself,
up.
he tries and then collapses because he can't, and he looks down and sees the fucking bone poking out of his calf. Like, fuck. And so that was the last thing he saw for a while.
Yeah, he passes the fuck out from the pain.
The rain just kept falling, and finally when he did open his eyes, he was alone with his dead.
Yeah, so he drags himself forward as people are blatantly watching from doors and alleys. But
excruciating pain the
again,
whole
no one's
way.
watching him, and it says that's where Littlefinger and the City Watch found him, there in the middle of the street, cradling Jory Cassell's body in his arms. R.I.P. Jory! Jaime savagely had three, we know, but Ned's men cut down Jory, Will, Heward, Bah. And so the Not-So-Silent Sisters were quite upset about that as well.
Yeah.
And the trip to the castle is just a blur of agony for Ned after Littlefinger and the City Watch found him in and out of consciousness. He remembers seeing the Red Keep, and then the next thing he knows, there's Pycelle. That old bitch Pycelle. Looming over him with a cup, whispering, "Drink, my lord, milk of the poppy for the pain."
And then Ned recalls hearing him shouting for somebody to bring some wine to boiling and fetch me clean silks.
Yep.
So he's going to clean and wrap them.
Ned recalled drinking, and the milk of the poppy does its work, and that's the last thing he hears Pycelle say before he is out for the night. Motherfucker, TKO.
TKO. And that's that.
So R.I.P. Jory, Heward, and
what do you think of
Will.
this chapter? We didn't ask about last Catelyn one, so that's why we had to rehash it at the beginning. What do you think of this chapter?
I really like this chapter.
Right?
But it's the turn, like the start of the turn of the tone for this book, where from here for the Starks, it's all south.
I want to draw some comparisons to this scene in the show, and things that Well, I like a scene in the show very much. It's a lot of fun, and I heart, Nikolai Walder-Costa. And so I don't have any issues with the way it was done. I do like this way better.
Oh, yeah, no, the show paints Jaime in a much more favorable light.
Yeah, because
he punches
he gets
guard,
mad at the guard for
stabs
stabbing
Ned in the back.
And Ned gets stabbed.
Yeah.
But this is just brutal where like you've said the whole time, he was just painted as this massive fucking villain.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guards, I mean, it's borderline a massacre. Like, Ned would have been dead too had Jaime said, don't.
Oh, yeah, no.
Don't.
Had they wanted to, they would have killed all three
right
of them
then and there. And so just a fucking slaughter in the streets. And
I do like that attention is specifically placed on Jaime saying, don't harm him, and then it's Ned's horse that slips.
Yeah.
So the men did keep their word. It was just, the horse got spooked. It was raining. It was muddy. Right. And, fucking, that's what happens when you play with swords, people.
Right.
But, it's all downhill from here for Ned.
That's it.
And the Starks in general.
This is the end.
And it's upsetting.
My only friend.
And any time, we lose any household guard of Winterfell, it's just... Anyone, Roderick, fucking Jory, Aemon, Lewin, Lewin. We haven't been to Winterfell in so long, I forget. We got a brand chapter coming up soon.
And a couple more. Yeah. So, next chapter is going to be Dany. I don't know which number Dany, because
4.
Dany
but
4.
before we talk about that, we should talk about inductees.
Yeah, I was going to get to that after.
Fuck Dany 4 for right now. We are in Ned 9.
Well, it's after now, so I win.
Who's your inductee?
Oh. I was thinking about it before, so I guess I'll keep it the one I had chosen earlier. And so I'm going to give mine to Will. Of the Household Guard.
House Hardguard.
We're just fucking off
we are
tonight,
mushmouth
I don't know
tonight.
what's going on. So, because he went down cursing off his dying horse, and he was just doing his duty to his lord, and I feel like he was probably an honorable guy. He had lost a bit there at the game in the whorehouse, in the brothel there.
Kicked,
yeah, he was. And
she had only opened her blouse.
And so it just makes me think that he's a fairly innocent younger guard that's, He didn't
And how
deserve to
quickly,
get down.
he was, I feel like with Ned, every household guard member is like a bud of Ned's at this point. Like, they respect him as their lord and would die for him, but it's also this
brotherly fun, like...
And so I think, like, just when you read that, like, the warnings they shout out, like, my lord, and Jory running back and Ned trying to send him away.
I can't give it to Jory just because... I'm not ready.
All right, if you start fucking crying, you need to leave the room.
All right, you go ahead and give me your inductee. Then.
My inductee is obviously going to the one and only Littlefinger because of I'll bring the city wall. Like, bullshit, Littlefinger. I don't know, and I really like to think about where he went immediately after this. Yeah. But I don't know, and so he does eventually show up with the city watch.
Well, I was gonna say, if you notice, Ned says from somewhere they got a litter.
Yeah.
I bet fucking Littlefinger went up there, went and had a little drink, maybe something to eat, and then was like, all right, let's go we got some bodies down here we're gonna have to go pick up.
Ned's laying here with his bone out of it, so his frame of time is not correct. So he could have been there for hours.
Well, as he saw the sun rising over the Red Keep, is what it mentioned. So he was there overnight, basically.
So Littlefinger just let him chill for a couple hours.
Fuck Littlefinger.
And just the way he and I also think it was significant that the Lannisters parted for him.
They let him go.
Let him go, and then they closed right behind him. Like, it almost seemed expected on my part.
Right, like he was already supposed to be the witness
out,
to go
and get out. And so it's always got to go to Littlefinger with his sauntering.
So we mixed things up a little bit this time. I read the Not So Silent Sisters inductees. You have not yet.
I did not.
And so why don't you go ahead and read those out? Yeah, because they're quite good.
The majority of their email was mainly upsetness over Jory Cassell and the loss of that. They also did enjoy Ned's flashback with Lyanna and the mention of Robert and his whoring and how that wouldn't change anyway. The mention of Maya Stone was dope. And again, they say that we get the references of the promises he made to Lyanna and Jon's birthright, and how Martin did a stellar job with these Ned chapters, laying the groundwork for what could potentially be a monumental plot twist. So, again, you share the same thoughts as us, and that's why we enjoy your writing so much. So, the first inductee here goes to Unsepta Brandy, who invites the one and only Jaime Lannister to the group. Yeah. Even though he's still a piece of shit at this point, his arrogance is so well written. I 100% agree.
Spectacular. And then, and this one's very good as well, Unsepta Afton inducts Littlefinger because she's a Slytherin. And Littlefinger is such a Slytherin in this chapter, he immediately leaves Ned when he sees trouble with Jaime afoot and goes for help, even though that help arrives too little too late. So, wonderful.
Man, I said last week that there are no inductees that are better, but yours is way better, because
she just trumped your reason.
It's a Slytherin in it, like, absolutely.
Zach is also a Slytherin, and there was a point in my life where I typically sided Gryffindor. I've kind of slid more towards like a Ravenclaw these days, I think.
Hufflepuff.
Excuse me, there's nothing wrong with Hufflepuffs, even though I am not one.
What the fuck's a Hufflepuff?
What the fuck is a Hufflepuff? We're just kidding, Hufflepuffs. We love you guys as well. Zach, you're a Slytherin, so you love them a little less. It's all right.
True.
Anyway, guys, let us know
what you think.
Those
are our thoughts. I don't know why you continue enjoying them, but you do, and we appreciate the shit out of you for it.
Write into us. We love hearing from you guys. We can be reached at all the social medias. I'm on Twitter at MannersWithout. You are on Twitter
Carstark92.
Carstark92. Yeah. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/Brotherhood
Podcast.
Instagram
at Brotherhood Without. We are also on Apple Podcasts. If you could leave us a rate and review, we would love you forever.
And we give you a shout out. We read that out on the air in appreciation. We can also be reached at our Gmail, withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. And
website.
We have our website.
We have a website. You almost just asked me if we have a website.
I know, I'm the one that went and did it all. www.brotherhood. No, wait.
Oh my.
Hold on.
Fucking God.
What is it? Hold on. It's okay. www.
Seven hells.
What is it then? You tell me.
I don't know.
Yeah, you shut the fuck up then. Brotherhoodwithout.com.
Excellent.
All right.
If you want additional content, we, as of right now, only have the one episode, but we are working on it. We're going to be laying it down very soon, the second Winds of Winter sample chapter. So if you have any interest in that whatsoever, I don't know what our Patreon is either.
It's patreon.com/without manners.
Hey.
Man, we're bad with these. We'll work on them. We won't. We'll see you at episode 100 and still be fumbling over all this shit. So
anywho,
we're
join
also
us next week.
Before we jump out, we're talking about doing a big event for our 50th episode.
Potentially.
So start listening for that, and again, keep up on the socials. You'll see some cool stuff. Anyway.
Next week will be next week, next place.
Whenever our next episode releases.
We'll be reading Daenerys 4. Danny will be arriving at the Dothraki city of Vaes Dothrak. Ooh.
I just feel like it should be the shark bait. Ooh, ah, ah.
Shark bait. Ooh, ah, ah. Horse bait. Ooh, ah. Horse bait. Ooh, ah. Anyway, join us for that, where I guess there's going to be a lot of grunting and shit. So, Valo Daenerys.
Peace. What's up, everybody? It's Nate here from Brotherhood Without Manners. I'm just going to sneak in and tell you really quick about this sweet app called Podcoin. If you listen to podcasts at all, especially Brotherhood Without Manners, all you have to do is download this app, download our podcast, put in the code Brotherhood, and you will get 300 coins. And you can spend those coins on all sorts of cool stuff. Gift cards, donating to charity, whatever. So give it a try. Let us know if you like it. We really enjoy using it for our podcast listening. You can get free stuff, so why not take advantage of something you already do?